we're sort of waiting for Godot. And this is not particularly the futility of uncertainty, but there is uncertainty, just like in waiting for Godot. And we've got that, our take on the stocks, futures, macro, and sports, all on today's Rebel's Edge. Bang! So, Pete, you're a big fan of waiting for Godot, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, sure. No, you know what? The one fun thing that Mom and Dad did for us, John, as you know better than anybody, but they wanted us to be a lot more rounded than your average sports guys. So, yeah, whether it was Shakespeare over at the Guthrie Theater in Minnesota here in downtown Minneapolis, or going out to the old Log Theater for some comedies and all the sorts of crazy stuff, or, the Chanhassen Theater where they do all the musicals and all those kinds of things. So yeah, matter of fact, John, it helped me a lot. When I was at the University of Minnesota, I took a class in Shakespeare just to, fill up some of the stuff that I needed to do. I already knew everything. I didn't have to read any of the books. I didn't have to go to any place. I'd already seen it. So it was a genius move by Mom and Dad.
Yep. Thank goodness for both of them. And in Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett, it's about the futility and uncertainty of existence. It sounds like Woody Allen probably loved this. And we do have uncertainty because we've got the Fed minutes today, Pete, coming out. Mm-hmm. We're pretty certain, of course, that they'll kind of mealy mouth around some stuff. And it'll really be about Jay Powell at the end of the week. Up in Jackson Hole. So that's the macro, I think. We're monitoring geopolitical stuff, yes, and we're waiting for Jackson Hole more than we're waiting for the speech today. But nonetheless, a fair amount of uncertainty, but usually not the scary uncertainty so far.
Right. Yeah, I just add one thing to the whole macro picture, John, is, earnings season's not all over. And what we're really seeing right now is the retailers, right? I mean, so that's what everybody's been kind of waiting for, at least this week. You've got TJX, you've got Target, which we've had some of these already, Lowe's, but we still got Walmart coming up as well. So, you know what? That's very influential, I think, on these markets, is how the earnings have actually sort of buoyed the markets for quite a long time now. It's been pretty impressive. When there've been negative news out there, you've got positive news on the earnings front, and that's helped things out a lot.
Sure has. Well, fantastic futures, Pete. I'm going to say copper because President Donald Trump met with the CEOs of the two largest mining companies to basically discuss a copper project that could supply the United States with a quarter of its demand for decades to come. Mm-hmm. So he is totally trying to get a bunch of the critical stuff that we need, obviously copper, anything electric these days. Maybe in the future it won't have to be copper, Pete, but right now it has to be copper. And that is something that's critical, as are lithium, cobalt, manganese, and all that stuff. So copper futures, that's my fantastic future.
And I'm jumping right back into the VIX because I just got done saying, hey, look, it's gotten a little bit dull. It's been trading around 14, 15, somewhere in there. And today, all of a sudden, we get a pretty decent market hit, especially with the NASDAQ. And the next thing you know, we're looking at a 17 VIX. So a nice big pop up there, and a little bit more than 17. As a matter of fact, the highs in August were over 20. The lows in August were down there at 1430. And today we had this nice hop up and above 17. But that lasted about as long as, whatever. But now I'm sitting here looking at it, John, at 1640. I wouldn't be surprised if it gave back even more and got back into the 15s. That wouldn't be shocking. But right now, we were up over 10%. Now we're up about 5%. Be interesting to see exactly where it does close off, because we do have some volatile things out there into the future. One of them being exactly what you talked about, which is Powell at Jackson Hole. So that's something I think that the markets are probably still a little bit nervous about.
All right. Again, that's Pete Najarian. He was the specialist for Micron technology, and Micron Tech having a big move today, because sometimes in the case of Intel, people like the idea of maybe the government is going to get a stake in Intel. And as far as now, saying, this is Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, saying, maybe we'll get stakes in a bunch of these companies. Well, Micron didn't like that too much at all. Shares fell 5 or 6% right away. And you know what, Pete? Somebody bought a lot of puts. And for those of you who are unaware, a put is the right to sell. A call gives you the right to take. A put is the right to sell. And these puts instantly rewarded as the stock fell from the whatever 120s down into the 116s, Pete.
Yeah, pretty amazing. The timing of that is just absolutely outrageous. That's just 10 days ago or something like that, John. So unbelievable just how fast things like that can happen. Lutnick is pretty interesting how he did float this out there. We talk about the CHIPS Act and all the rest of the things. Micron itself as a company, John, has been doing very, very well. They've been increasing their share in the market itself as far as what they do. It is down 6% today. A little bit frustrated probably about some of the commentary. Is it going to stretch out to some of the others? Maybe, but I don't know that that's a lock. But certainly with Intel, that's a deal that all of us have been talking about now for the last week or more at least. But I look over at Micron and I see a strong balance sheet. I see everything that they've got in the chips world. I like the company. As you said, I was the specialist of this thing. I'll tell you what, that was a war back in the day, John. That was one of the biggest option volume trades there was anywhere was Micron Technology. So a lot of fun, a lot of great memories. I like this stock and it's done very, very well, but definitely seeing a little bit of a pullback today on the commentary from Lutnick.
Yeah. And if you want to get our take on how to trade unusual option activity, which is what we both just described, the fact that they were buying puts 10 days ago, well, you can still get a virtual pass to the Rebel Boot Camp. It is September 19th and 20th. It's down in Aventura, Florida. We're not selling tickets to that anymore, folks. Those have been sold out for almost a month now. But you can get a virtual pass so you can watch everything that goes on stage, get a copy of the video, as well as, of course, all the presentations from everybody, both Friday and Saturday, the 19th of September and 20th. So by all means, if you were unable to get a seat, well, next best thing is a virtual pass. So sign up for that virtual pass today, and you'll be watching us trade live on the 19th, Friday the 19th, as well as Saturday the 20th. We'll be describing, but not trading live because it's Saturday. All right, Pete, let's dive right into our next stock, Target. This is one where another link to Pete, because one of his good friends is the outgoing CEO of Target. He was, of course, there for some fantastic growth at Target. And then when that fantastic growth stopped, he decided maybe it's time for me to step aside. And Brian Cornell is doing just that, not today, but out in February. And I think Pete's got an interesting take on who's going to take over for him.
Well, and that's impressive because they've already named the gentleman who it is, Michael Fidelik, or however you pronounce his name. But the guy started, John, as an intern. I mean, how great is that? You know, when people say, hey, look, there's no opportunity here or there or everywhere. Oh, yes, there is. Guy starts out, he's there as an intern. He's moved up the chain, and now he's who they've picked to be the CEO to follow up with Brian Cornell. Brian had a great idea and a great path early, John. It kind of fizzled a little bit, and a lot of that really kind of happened. I mean, he had this stock. How about this? $269 a share back in 2021, and that was all into the pandemic. But unfortunately, after we hit the pandemic, a lot of moves back and forth, a lot of different things, some changes going on, obviously the economy and blah, 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 a lot of different things that you could point to. But that's where it got a little frustrating. And now we look at a stock that now is in the high 90s as opposed to getting up there as high as they were at 269. So it's tough. We all know that. It's a very difficult challenge, I think, at this point in time specifically. And, you know, Brian's been there a long time, John. He's still going to be a part of Target. He's just no longer going to be the CEO. So, you know, he did a great job of turning that thing around. Unfortunately, you know, there's been some circumstances and some decisions as well that have cost them, you know, I think some of the customer base at times as well. So, You know, year to date, they're down about 30%. That's not such a great thing. They're down about 10%. But here's the reason why it's probably time for a change, because this is just something that can't go on as long as it has, John. 11 consecutive quarters of flat or declining sales. That's not so great. And that's something that actually is right there as well. Comp sales fell 1.9%. So it just keeps happening, and they've got to figure out something else. And maybe new blood, maybe a new division, whatever it might be, will actually get the stock to start turning again, and the sales maybe start to get a little bit higher. But that's been the biggest problem, and that's been going on 11 quarters. That's way too long, John.
Agreed. Well, Brian Cornell, we're going to switch gears to a stock that's seeing a takeover come in, Pete. Guess, GES, Guess Jeans, primarily. That one announcing a definitive agreement for a take-private transaction valued at about $1.4 billion. And I checked, Pete, and we have had unusual activity in the past, but unfortunately not recently. So this one was pretty much under wraps, and it's probably why we're seeing a big 25% pop today.
Yep, a nice big pop. I mean, you can see there, just the chart speaks for itself. I mean, the path that this thing has been on. Was it recovering? Sure, it's been recovering decently, you know, off of probably April, like everything else in the market. It starts to move up and has a pretty nice move. But yeah, this is an interesting deal here, John. And like you said, it's about $1.4 billion to go into this private side of things. The current management's going to stick with 49%, but then the 51% is coming from Authentic, who's also agreed upon this whole deal with the debt and the whole thing. So 8 million shares, John. This thing's been really, really actively trading today. 8 million shares. Average day is about 700,000, a little bit less than that, actually. So the other thing I'd be curious about, what happens with the shorts under this circumstance, because the shorts here, John, are absolutely at outrageous levels, and just makes you kind of wonder, well, how's that going to play out as this thing gets further down? Now, 2026, I think, is when this thing closes, probably. I think that's what I saw, but I know it will take some time. So maybe there is time for them to take care of things, but there were some massive shorts in this name for a while.
Well, let's talk about one that's also had massive shorts from time to time, but some good news today, and that's Hertz. Now, I did a quick check with Grok, Pete, on this, because Hertz stock jumped on a deal that they're going to be able to sell some of their used cars on Amazon. And so I said, well, how many used cars do they sell a year? Because they've got just under 500,000 cars, Pete, in their fleet, as they call it. Well, they probably sell between 50,000 and 100,000 cars a year. They do it with people like Carvana even. And I think this is just a great deal for them, because it's all about getting in front of people, and who gets more traction than Amazon, number one. Car Gurus and some of those other sites, they could work as well. But I think this might be pretty interesting for Hertz and for Amazon, Pete.
Yeah. It gives Hertz an opportunity to have a little bit more exposure somewhere else. And obviously with Amazon Autos, that, shoot, I barely had ever heard of that, John, but I guess that's something that's been expanding pretty rapidly. And obviously with this deal with Hertz, it's going to expand a lot faster than that. Pretty interesting to see this one. And you talked about this as well. Hertz, there's a heck of a lot of shorts in this one, John. So that makes it fairly interesting on a day where the stock's up. Well, you know, it's not up huge. It's up 3%, but it's up. And could it go up even a little bit higher? Well, it was earlier. It got a little bit pretty close towards $6 a share. It pulled back a little bit, but I would say that you've got the shorts on this side, and you've got some really, I think this is a very good deal for both. I think for Amazon as well as Hertz. So there's nobody losing on this deal. From the looks of it, it looks like a good gain for Hertz, because it gives them the opportunity to slide it over there, and those volumes for Amazon. Amazon loves stuff like this, John. This is perfect for them. And all of a sudden 50,000, 100,000 vehicles that they can sell. And they've got all kinds of different deals because of that, as far as what comes with the package when you buy and all the rest of it. So pretty interesting to see how this transaction really was made today.
Yes. Well, just one more quick tease, folks, about the Rebel Boot Camp virtual pass. And that is, just to remind you, that September 19th and 20th, you can get this virtual pass right up until that date, but why wait? Pick it up now, scan that QR code, and sign up for the Rebel Boot Camp. Grant Cardone, Pete, myself, Mark Lepresti. We're going to have Jeff Garbaz there. We're going to have Ryan Mastro, as well as Greg McDermott. We're going to have the whole team there, folks. Mm-hmm. So you want to see all those presentations, you will on the virtual pass. And the great thing is, since you have a copy of it, you don't have to watch it on Friday and Saturday. You can watch it whenever you want, because, of course, it's kind of like a on-demand situation. So scan the QR code. Thanks for listening. And now let's throw it to Pete with a little sports.
Well, and John, you helped me out with this one today, and I liked it. I'd seen this storyline, and I didn't know, should we do it, should we not? And then I kind of liked it the more I looked at it, and then you suggested it as well. But the Major League Baseball, obviously, we're getting a little bit closer and down the line, and, everybody's talking about playoffs. As a matter of fact, when you look at some of the statistics, they have all the numbers. What are the odds of the playoffs and all the rest of it? So that shows you we're getting pretty close. The New York Yankees set another record. I mean, there's a shock, right? I mean, so what did they do, John? It's the second time this season that they've had 9 home runs in a game. I mean, you want to talk about outrageous. That's outrageous. But so I wanted to look a little bit deeper into it. Now, here's what I've got. So Judge, one of the great players of all time, 40 home runs so far. Bellinger, 24. Chisholm, 22. Grissom, 21. I mean, they've got murderers row, and they've got some guys out there that can actually tag the ball out of any park that there is. So pretty impressive to see that, and then I wanted to look over at, like, who's really leading in home runs, who's leading in some of these various stats and everything else. Well, Milwaukee's doing pretty damn good. The Dodgers are doing pretty damn good. The Yankees, by the way, as far as runs go, John, the Yankees, 649 runs. They've had 540 runs against them. So it just shows you they get in front of people. They extended it just a little bit, and you start beating up on people. That's what they do. Every once in a while they slide, because actually they're not even the number one in their own division right now. But they are unbelievable what they're able to do. And I think that, come playoff time, you probably always want to have the Yankees in that list, right, of who's going to be there when it's all done, because the Pinstripes have been there, and they've done it, and they've done it again, and they've done it again. And this 9 home run deal, that's outrageous.
Well, give us just your quick take, Pete, on some QBs and NCAA football. And some of these guys have been moving around, of course, because of the portal and NIL, name, image, and likeness. What do you got as far as QBs on new teams, Pete?
Well, and I wanted to run this one by you too, to just see what you think, because, we all say it. Everybody says it, whether they want to admit it or not. The quarterback is the most important position, right? And it's said by everybody. It's kind of interesting when you look, John, at the top 5, top 6, maybe top 10 teams this year, going into this year for 2025 season, and they don't have quarterbacks coming back. And in college football, a lot of the times that means the guy might be really young, or if he's not really young, he's not a freshman. He probably hasn't seen much playing time because the quarterbacks are gone. So I look over at Notre Dame, John. They got a guy that they named as their starting quarterback. Now, they're a top 5, top 6 team so far this year is where they rank, and they got this kid Carr. Is he good? Probably. I mean, he's a quarterback, and he's there at Notre Dame, and Notre Dame knows what they're doing as far as recruiting and everything else, but experience-wise, not a whole hell of a lot. Ohio State finally decided to name their quarterback, John, of who's going to be the starter. But, they're ranked number 2, number 3 in the country, and it was a battle between 2 guys who hadn't really been on the field for more than a couple of snaps last year. So that's pretty interesting. I thought quarterback was supposed to be the position that we all, say is the greatest thing, biggest, most responsibility. I looked at a few more. Georgia. The guy's thrown 80 passes in his career. That's kind of interesting. Gunnar Stockton, at least he has the right name. Oregon, Dante Moore, kid from down at UCLA. He hasn't thrown the ball a whole hell of a lot. He had 8 attempts last year. 8. Now, he had a year before that where he played a few more, but not a lot. Bama, Ty Simpson. He had 25 passes in 2024. I just think it's really interesting to see that top 10. And when everybody in the world always says a quarterback's the most important position, and yet 99% of people out there couldn't name you the starting quarterback for any of those teams, except for Arch Manning. They all know who he is, John. And there's a couple others out there. But what do you think about this? I mean, I think it's really, really, it's interesting. It's kind of cool. University of Minnesota, we lost our quarterback. He's going to be the number 2 quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings this year. He'll be the backup for sure. He looks that good. But you know what? The guy who's filling in for him is a redshirt freshman, and time will tell how well he does as we get through it. He looks great right now, John. 6'4", 220. He's got a big arm. He's got all the things that you want, but experience is something that none of these quarterbacks have.
Yeah, well, the guys that do have it, Kevin Jennings, Maddox, Madsen, Sam Levitt, they led playoff teams last year, and they're back. But to your point, Pete, a lot of these guys are moving around, and in some cases, moving before they've even done anything. Like you said, both the Ohio State quarterbacks that are penciled in right now are guys that have thrown a total of 30 passes in college. Worth watching and paying attention to, especially with what's going on with Texas. So when they come to town, Pete, that'll be one of the most important and one of the most watched games of the year. And it's the first week, so I can't wait.
Should be great. That'll be great.
Well, thanks for joining us today, folks. Don't forget about those virtual tickets to the Rebel Boot Camp. And there it is again. Scan it, just take out your phone, scan that. It'll take you right to the site. You can sign up. We give you all your credentials, and you will be joining us virtually in Aventura, Florida, September 19th and 20th. I hope you have a great day trading today, Pete, and all of you. And we'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.